November 10th, 2004. 100 miles off the coast of San Diego, Operations Specialist Senior Chief Kevin Day sat in the Combat Information Center aboard the USS Princeton, a guided missile cruiser equipped with the most advanced radar system in the U.S. Navy. His job was simple: track everything that flew in the skies around the carrier strike group. Commercial aircraft, training jets, weather balloons, birds, everything. But on this particular morning, Day noticed something on his radar screens that shouldn't exist. Multiple contacts, appearing in groups of 5 to 10 at a time, hovering at 28,000 feet, moving south at 100 knots. At first, Day thought it was a glitch. The SPI-1B radar system, state-of-the-art technology designed to track hundreds of targets simultaneously, must be malfunctioning. But the system checked out. No errors, no equipment failure. The contacts were real. Then they did something impossible. The objects descended from 80,000 feet to sea level in less than a second. A drop of over 15 miles in under a second. That kind of acceleration would generate G-forces that would tear apart any known aircraft, kill any pilot instantly, shatter any material we've ever engineered.
Awaiting further input.
But these objects didn't break apart. They just dropped and then hovered, motionless, waiting. For 2 weeks, the radar operators aboard the Princeton watched these impossible contacts appear, descend, and vanish. For 2 weeks, they reported it up the chain of command. For 2 weeks, no one believed them. Then on November 14th, 2004, Senior Chief Day convinced his commanding officer to do something about it. Launch fighters, intercept these objects, find out what they are. That decision led to one of the most significant military encounters with unidentified phenomena in modern history. An encounter that would be captured on multiple sensors witnessed by some of the most trained pilots in the world, and officially acknowledged by the Pentagon 15 years later. This is the story of the USS Nimitz Tic Tac incident, the day Navy radar detected something that shouldn't exist, and what happened when our best fighter pilots tried to intercept it. Let me take you back to early November 2004. The USS Nimitz Carrier Strike Group, one of the most powerful naval formations on Earth, was conducting pre-deployment training exercises off the coast of Southern California. The strike group included the nuclear-powered aircraft carrier USS Nimitz, the guided missile cruiser USS Princeton, and several destroyer escorts. This was routine, standard training before the group deployed to the Persian Gulf. Nothing unusual, nothing classified. The USS Princeton was equipped with the AN/SPY-1B radar system, part of the Aegis combat system. This isn't ordinary radar. The SPY-1B is a passive electronically scanned array designed to track hundreds of targets simultaneously across hundreds of miles. It can detect ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, stealth aircraft, anything that moves through the air. It's so sensitive that radar operators can track seabirds at 30 miles. So sophisticated that it can differentiate between a commercial airliner and a fighter jet based on radar cross-section and flight characteristics. In other words, it doesn't make mistakes. Around November 10th, Senior Chief Kevin Day began noticing anomalous contacts on his displays. Objects appearing suddenly, not gradually entering radar range like normal aircraft, just appearing at altitudes around 28,000 feet. They were appearing in groups of 5 to 10 at a time, and they were pretty closely spaced to each other. Day later explained in interviews. And they were 28,000 feet going 100 knots tracking south. That alone was strange. Commercial aircraft don't fly in tight formations of 10. Military jets don't hover at 28,000 feet moving at 100 knots. It's too slow for jets, too high for helicopters. But then the contacts did something that terrified the radar operators. They would suddenly appear at 80,000 feet, far above the flight ceiling of any aircraft, and then drop to sea level in less than a second, 15 miles, in under a second. Let me put that in perspective. The fastest aircraft in the world, the SR-71 Blackbird, had a maximum dive speed of about 2,200 miles per hour. These objects were descending at speeds that would require moving faster than 50,000 miles per hour. That's not hyperbole, that's math. And it's physically impossible with any technology we understand. At those speeds, atmospheric friction would generate temperatures exceeding 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit. The G-forces would be measured in thousands, enough to liquefy any biological organism and pulverize any metal structure. But these objects didn't burn up, didn't disintegrate. They just dropped, stopped at sea level, and hovered. For nearly a week, the Princeton's radar operators logged these contacts. They checked and rechecked their equipment. They coordinated with other ships in the strike group to confirm the targets appeared on multiple radar systems. Everything checked out. The contacts were real. Finally, on November 14th, Senior Chief Day went to his commanding officer with a proposal. There was an air defense exercise scheduled that morning. Why not direct some of the training aircraft to investigate these contacts? Try to intercept them. Get a visual identification. Permission was granted, and that's when everything changed. November 14th, 2004, 2 p.m., 2FA-18F. Super Hornets from Strike Fighter Squadron 41, call sign Black Aces, were conducting a routine training exercise about 100 miles southwest of San Diego. The flight lead was Commander David Fravor, a Top Gun graduate with over 3,500 flight hours. His wingman was Lieutenant Commander Alex Dietrich, a skilled pilot early in her career but already respected in the squadron. Their aircraft were armed with dummy missiles, training rounds that couldn't be fired. This was supposed to be a simulation. Practice, nothing real. Then the radio crackled. USS Princeton's operations officer. "Are you carrying live weapons?" Fravor replied that they were not. "Well, we've got a real-world vector for you." The Princeton had been tracking these mysterious objects for 2 weeks. One of them had just appeared on radar. And Senior Chief Day wanted fighters to investigate. The Princeton vectored Fravor and Dietrich to a combat air patrol point 60 miles away. Their mission, intercept an unidentified contact. Visual identification. Standard procedure. Within seconds of being given the coordinates, the Princeton radioed again. The object had already moved to the cap point. It had covered 60 miles almost instantaneously. When Fravor and Dietrich arrived at the location, they didn't see an aircraft. Instead, they saw something strange on the ocean surface below. A disturbance in the water. White foam, churning, as if something large was just beneath the surface. Then Dietrich saw it, an object hovering about 50 feet above the water. It was white. It was oblong. Fravor later described in testimony before Congress and in interviews with 60 Minutes. About 40 feet long, No wings, no rotors, no visible propulsion system. It looked like a tic-tac mint. The object was hovering, not flying, not falling, hovering against the wind, motionless in three-dimensional space with no visible means of staying aloft. Dietrich provided overwatch from above while Fravor descended for a closer look. As he spiraled down toward the object, it began to move. As I was coming down, it was coming up, Fravor recounted. It was aware we were there. The object mirrored Fravor's movements. When he turned, it turned. When he descended, it ascended. It was reacting to him, responding, demonstrating awareness. Then, when the tic-tac climbed to a position directly in front of Fravor's jet, close enough that he could see it clearly through his canopy, it did something impossible. It accelerated, not gradually, not with any visible thrust or exhaust. It just accelerated instantaneously. It rapidly accelerates beyond anything I've seen, crosses my nose, and it's gone, Fravor said. The object vanished, disappeared from visual range in under 2 seconds. Faster than anything Fravor had ever witnessed in 18 years of flying military jets. Fravor and Dietrich circled the area. The object was gone. They radioed the Princeton, lost contact. Then, seconds later, the Princeton's radar operators reacquired the object. It was 60 miles away, at the exact coordinates where Fravor's flight group had been scheduled to fly next as part of their training exercise. Think about that. The object knew where Fravor was going before he got there. It had moved 60 miles in seconds, and it was waiting. Fravor and Dietrich returned to the USS Nimitz. They reported what they'd seen, described the object, the movements, the impossible acceleration. Most pilots would have been skeptical, dismissed it as a misidentification, a weather balloon, a distant aircraft at a strange angle. But the radar operators on the Princeton confirmed everything. They'd tracked the entire encounter. The object had moved exactly as Fravor described, and it was still out there. A second flight of 4 FA-18 Super Hornets launched from the Nimitz. This time they were equipped with forward-looking infrared pods, FLIR systems, advanced sensors that could track heat signatures and record video. One of the pilots was Lieutenant Commander Chad Underwood. His mission: find the object, track it, record it. Underwood's aircraft locked onto a contact near the location the Princeton had indicated. He didn't see it with his own eyes. He was focused on his instruments, making sure the FLIR pod was recording properly. But his sensors saw it, and they captured it on video. The footage shows an oblong object moving across the screen. No wings, no tail, no exhaust plume, no heat signature typical of jet engines. The object rotates, changes direction, moves in ways that shouldn't be aerodynamically possible. Underwood's weapons systems officer, the officer operating the targeting pod, tried to lock onto the object with the infrared sensor. But the object kept moving erratically, not evading, just moving, as if it wasn't bound by the same physics that governed the FA-18. At one point, the object rotates completely, a full 360-degree spin while continuing to move forward. No aircraft can do that. Helicopters can't do that. Nothing we've built can maintain forward momentum while rotating independently. Then the object accelerates off-screen. Gone. Underwood returned to the Nimitz with the video. He delivered it to intelligence personnel for analysis. And then, nothing. For 13 years, the incident was buried, classified. The video locked away in intelligence databases. The witnesses told not to discuss it publicly until 2017. In December 2017, the New York Times published a bombshell investigation revealing the existence of a secret Pentagon program called the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, AATP. The program, which ran from 2007 to 2012, was tasked with investigating reports of unidentified aerial phenomena, UAPs, encountered by military personnel. And one of the most significant cases in their files was the 2004 USS Nimitz incident. The Times published the FLIR video, the footage that Lieutenant Commander Underwood had recorded 13 years earlier. The video the Pentagon had kept classified. The response was immediate. The story went viral. News outlets around the world covered it. Skeptics dismissed it. Believers celebrated it. And the Pentagon said nothing. For months, the Department of Defense refused to comment on the video's authenticity, refused to confirm it came from the Navy, refused to acknowledge the Nimitz incident at all. Then, in April 2020, the Pentagon officially released 3 videos, including the Nimitz FLIR footage, and confirmed they were recorded by Navy personnel. The statement was careful. The Department of Defense is releasing the videos in order to clear up any misconceptions by the public on whether or not the footage that has been circulating was real. Real. The Pentagon confirmed the videos were real, but they stopped short of explaining what the objects were, just that they were unidentified aerial phenomena. In June 2021, the Office of the Director of National Intelligence released a preliminary report to Congress on UAPs. The report analyzed 144 incidents reported by military personnel between 2004 and 2021. Of those 144 cases, only one could be explained with high confidence: a deflating balloon. The other 143 remain unexplained. 11 of those cases involved objects that demonstrated what the report called unusual flight characteristics: instantaneous acceleration, hypersonic velocity without visible propulsion, and the ability to remain stationary in high winds. The Nimitz Tic Tac incident met all of those criteria. In July 2023, Commander David Fravor testified under oath before the House Oversight Committee on UAPs. He described the encounter in detail. He stated unequivocally that the technology he witnessed was far superior to anything in the U.S. inventory at the time, and in my opinion, superior to anything currently in existence. He emphasized that the object's performance made it impossible to defend against, that if hostile, it represented a national security threat unlike anything the military had encountered. And the government? They acknowledged the encounter was real, acknowledged the objects exist, but offered no explanation for what they are. So what did the USS Princeton's radar detect in November 2004? There are only a few possibilities, and none of them are comforting. Possibility 1: equipment malfunction. Multiple radar systems malfunctioned simultaneously. The SPY-1B radar on the Princeton, the fire control radars on the FA-18S, the FLIR targeting pods, the electro-optical sensors, all malfunctioning at the same time, all producing the same false targets. And 4 experienced pilots, including a Top Gun graduate, all misidentified natural phenomena as a structured craft performing impossible maneuvers. That's the skeptical explanation, and it requires believing that multiple independent systems failed identically, and multiple trained observers were all wrong. Possibility 2. Foreign technology. Russia or China has developed aerospace technology decades ahead of anything the United States possesses. Technology that can accelerate instantly, move at hypersonic speeds without producing heat, hover without visible propulsion, operate in ways that violate known physics. But these sightings date back to 2004, over 20 years ago. If a foreign adversary had this capability, then where is it now? Why haven't they deployed it? Why haven't we seen evidence of the industrial programs required to produce such technology? Possibility 3. Secret U.S. technology. The objects are American, black-budget programs, technology so advanced that even Navy carrier strike groups aren't briefed on it. But that creates problems. Why would the U.S. test secret technology by creating near-miss incidents with its own pilots? Why risk collisions? Why brief Congress on UAPs as threats if they're actually ours? Possibility 4. Non-human intelligence. This is the possibility no one wants to say out loud, but it's the one that Commander Fravor, Senior Chief Day, and multiple other witnesses believe. These objects represent technology that didn't originate on Earth. Technology from a civilization far more advanced than ours. Technology that's been observing our military capabilities for reasons we don't understand. Today, the USS Nimitz incident is acknowledged by the Pentagon as a genuine encounter with unidentified aerial phenomena. The witnesses are credible. The sensor data is real. The videos are authentic. But what the objects are, the Pentagon won't say, or can't say, or doesn't know. What we do know is this. On November 14, 2004, the most advanced radar system in the U.S. Navy detected something that shouldn't exist. Objects that move in ways that violate physics as we understand it. Objects that demonstrated awareness, intelligence, and capabilities decades beyond anything humanity has achieved. Commander Fravor, a man trained to assess threats and analyze aircraft performance, has stated under oath that these objects are real, that they're superior to anything we possess, that they represent something we don't understand. The Pentagon has confirmed his account, released the videos, acknowledged the encounters. But they've never explained what these objects are, or where they came from, or what they want. The USS Princeton's radar detected something that day. Something that descended from 80,000 feet to sea level in under a second. Something that accelerated beyond anything our pilots had ever seen. Something that knew where Commander Fravor was going before he got there. And it's still out there, still being detected, still performing maneuvers that shouldn't be possible. The question isn't whether these objects exist anymore. The Pentagon has confirmed they do. The question is, what are they? And why won't anyone tell us the truth? If this story changed how you think about what's really in our skies, if you believe the American public deserves answers about these encounters, if you want to see more documented UAP incidents exposed, hit that like button. Subscribe to this channel because there are more stories like this, more radar contacts, more pilot encounters, more videos that the Pentagon has released but won't explain. The truth is out there, and we're going to find it. One declassified video at a time.